Hello, I'm Mantastic and Fantastic, and today I'm going to be talking about the Draconic Orchestra Rare Machine event that has come to North America. So, starting on Monday, this is a brand new event for North American players, and because it is a debut event, this is technically the best time to snipe a card, because when you think about it, every time a new event ever comes back for the second time, they always tend to add additional cards, which further dilutes the pool. So if there is a card you are interested in, technically now would be the best time to try and roll for them. But the main part about this Gung-Ho exclusive made event is not the fact that it'll come back on a regular basis, but comparing it to other 10-stone events such as Dragonbound Dragon Caller and Heroine, this event feels significantly more lacking, mostly because the 5-star cards are relatively niche overall, and because of that and the fact that they compromise 62% or so of the rolling rates means you're going to be rolling these 4 cards an exorbitant amount of times, and that's just not fun. Like, you don't want to keep rolling dupe after dupe after dupe, especially for a card that has not so much value. Of course, there are some cards that may help certain players advance further. Obviously, some of the chase cards are a bit more appetizing, but as a whole, this event I feel is one of the weaker 10-stone events, and unless it receives significant buffs in the future, it's not that great. Because one thing I feel that could definitely help this event is if the cards had weapon assists, because then it would help justify the 10-stone cost and make a lot of the cards become, instead of super niche, to at least a bit more usable. So, because this is a 10-stone event and there is a monster exchange, the 5 7-star cards will be available from the monster exchange system for a total of 5 trade fodder consisting of either 7-star Godfest exclusive or high rarity seasonal cards. So basically the same trade requirements as something like Ideal or Diabolus, Amatsu, that sort of thing. So my approach to collab rolling tends to be I want to try and find value at the bottom rarity, because those are the cards you're going to be rolling the most off more times than not. So if you are able to roll a card of value at a reasonably high rate and you have a chance at something better, that's what I like to do. So that's one reason why, if you've never rolled in Dragonbound Dragon Caller, I always encourage players to do so, because the 5-star cards are so useful. So even if you do end up getting a 5-star, it's still going to be helpful. Unfortunately, that is not the case for the Draconic Orchestra. So one thing is that all the cards have 2 distinct evolutions that can change various things. It could be Awakenings or Leader skill, but their active skill always stays the same, so you don't have to worry about skilling up different forms. So the first 7-star card is Theor, and in his base form he has double Dragon Killer and Natural Cloud Resist. But the biggest issue is he competes with Tsubaki, who's a 5-star Godfest exclusive, and Tsubaki in solo mode gets a Dragon Killer Awakening as a Super Awakening. So you are going to be dealing less damage than the 5-star Godfest exclusive. Yes, I guess you could say, well, I get VDP, so I could have high damage. But then again, we do have other VDP options. It all depends. Like, it is nice, but I just feel like I want a little bit more. Of course, it does have some benefits. Like, you do naturally come with Cloud Resist. That means you don't have to actually incorporate it through a Weapon Assist or Super Awakening. So that means in co-op, you actually do have Cloud Resist, which may or may not always be helpful. And their active skill is quite fast charging. It's a 6-turn cooldown for a full rainbow board with cutting your health by 50%. So the health cut may not always be the best, but it actually has synergy with their evolved form. In their base form for their leader skill, they are a pretty standard type of leader. Like, they have damage reduction when matching 2 specific colors. They hit 256 times damage with those Fire and Dark are matched. So it is nice, but the big issue is the leaders themselves, so 2 or 1 out of 3, basically 2 out of 6 cards in your team are going to be dealing virtually no damage against non-dragon type spawns, and that's not where we want to be. Ideally, our leaders are able to at least pull their own weight, and if they can't pull their own weight, hopefully their multipliers are significantly higher, which 256 times is not quite there. So as a leader, it's nice, but definitely nothing game-changing. In terms of his evolve form, it is significantly stronger because it comes with triple skill boost and 3 attack while below 50% awakenings. That translates into a 8 times personal damage, and through their super awakenings, they can get a 4th, which means 16 times damage, which is actually outrageous against all types of spawns, or a VDP for even more flexibility and options there. So the evolve form is definitely the better way to go, especially for a sub, and as a leader, they have an interesting type of leader skill. So they give you 4 times health 4 fire attributes with dual leaders, 900 times attack when matching 5 colors, so very high output for Rainbow, but they are the first leader in the game to actually decrease orb movement time. I just copy pasted directly the translation on the card's information, but it says increase orb movement time by negative 2.5 seconds. So dual leaders results in negative 5 seconds, which is the base amount of movement time. So unless your subs have copious amounts of orb movement time, you are not going to have any chance to manipulate orbs. It could possibly, if you get to 0 seconds, you won't even be able to actually move orbs whatsoever. It would be like playing Bejeweled. It's just going to be terrible and silly. So that's probably why he has such a high multiplier, and it looks very strong overall. But the thing is, it's better to simply pair him with possibly other Rainbow-based leaders. Otherwise, you may have actually no orb movement time, which probably is not going to be the best thing. But then again, I do like him for his sub potential, because like I said, you can have 8 times personal damage when you're below 50%, no combo count clause. With that VDP, you can much more easily make follow-up attacks with a VDP, because again, combo count's not an important factor, so it can definitely grant him some more value, but it's just, in my opinion, not that much of a standout card. Next is Lucina, and Lucina shares the same active skill like all their cards with their 2 evolved forms, but they can become arguably one of the best one single turn active skill bases in the game. So their active skill gives you a 10% chance for Water Skyfall, so may not happen, but it's not a terrible benefit, but it comes attached to a card with strong stats and useful awakenings. Not in her base form. The base form is just not where we want to be. Like, you have to match 2+ water combos as a leader skill. Yes, you do have lots of damage reduction, but the thing is, you have to be below 80% health and match water combos. Lots of things going you have to try and achieve, and in all honesty, it's better to just look at her evolved form, because not only does her evolved form have much better awakenings, it can fit on Mega or Super Reincarnate Mega Awoken Skald, which will come at some point in time. But with her double 7 combo and L, she does bring damage and a bit of utility there. She also has guard break in case Rainbow teams are your thing, but she can gain VDP, she can gain L, so she gains even more benefit there. So quite a strong sub, because when you think about it, our 1-turn active skill cards are TARDIS, whose awakenings are not that great. We have Halloween Mine, which is definitely nice, but again, a different color, so it might not fit on the same teams as Lucina. And what else do we have? Those are the big winners, in my opinion, like TARDIS and Halloween Mine, really, or Gunma. But the idea is, like, with Lucina, we have by far the card with the best weighted stats, the best awakenings, I feel, overall. So if you are interested in using like Kuroyuri's, you can basically inherit Kuroyuri on top of her, and you basically still continue the healing loop, but with a card that has much better stats overall. So in her evolved form as a leader, you need to hit 5 or more combos, no big deal. You have to use an active skill every turn. Again, we can definitely achieve that with her 1-turn cooldown. And then 2.5 times attack and reduce damage taken when matching 5 orbs in an L. It's not any shape of 5, which is problematic, because if it was any 5, it'd be much better, because you can make the follow-up attack, you can make the 3x3 box for VDP, but unfortunately that is not the case. So if you are going to be using her as a leader, yes, you do have spectacular multipliers, and yes, you can tap into your damage reduction on a regular basis, and it should be reasonably easy to achieve the full multiplier on most floors, but when you start having to throw in follow-up attacks, VDPs, but especially VDP and follow-up attack, you're going to have a terribly tough time managing orbs, hitting combo counts. It's going to be messy overall. So for dungeons that don't have those obnoxious mechanics, she's definitely going to be a great leader in that sense, because, again, you hit incredibly hard. You have easy to activate damage reduction, because you can match any 5. It doesn't need to be a 5 that you actually have the colors of. It could be 5 jammers, and you still trigger that damage reduction. Of course, the biggest issue at this point in time is spawns with all the weirdest mechanics, and she just is not that well equipped to deal with them. But again, her sub potential is quite powerful. Next is Eva, and Eva in her base form has a natural 10 combo and assortment of killers. So her damage potential can be high, but the problem is it should really be used on a 7x6 board, because if you don't, you're not going to hit those 10 combos on a regular basis. It's just not going to happen. As a leader, you give your wood-based teams massive amounts of RCV and damage reduction, and you're basically just a wood form of Riku. But the thing is, Riku is a leader we haven't really used much of as of late, because we just have better things available, and her damage output is really inconsistent. Unless you hit 10 combos, it's not going to happen. I guess you could probably argue that maybe I'll pair Diablos. That technically works. Diablos is wood-based. It's all about the combos at that point. Not a terrible thing overall. It might be something to consider if you have less ideal pairings or less strong leaders available, but again, it's not probably the best thing out there, unfortunately. For her evolve form, she does get a little bit spicier, mostly because she trades out that 10 combo for God, Dragon, Devil, and follow-up attack instead of just L shield and guard break. So with these additional awakenings and the super awakening, she has 9 times damage against those respective spawns if the super awakening lines up, but her personal effective damage does jump up much higher when they have overlapping typing. So if it's a God Devil spawn and you have God or Devil super awakenings, you deal 27 times personal damage. Incredibly hard hitting, and she comes with follow-up attack, which is quite unusual. Most killer sticks don't actually come with follow-up attack, so this gives you a bit more utility and a bit more flexibility overall. As a leader, you have to match 5 or more elements, so 4 colors plus hearts potentially, and then you also have to match 5 or more connected heal orbs. So you're basically a rainbow leader with a match 5 heart clause. It's better than a heart cross because it can be any formation, including a follow-up attack column, but it's still not going to be the most reliably consistent thing out there, because if you can't naturally tank a spawn's ability and you don't have 5 hard orbs, you're going to be in trouble. But with 75% damage reduction, you can definitely tank a stupendously high amount of punishment. But the thing is, consistency is kind of the name of this game, and if we've been playing through the Xiangmei ranking dungeon, we know that hearts are not going to be there when you need them, and it's not going to be there when you actually need it, so you're going to be having to pop active skills because she can't naturally tank anything without a 5 connect heart orb match. Now, one thing that I do greatly appreciate about Eva is her active skill. So her active skill changes the far column to heal orbs and unlock all orbs, and then it changes all orbs to fire, water, wood, light, and dark. So you get a column of hearts and a rainbow board changer. This is a significant upgrade compared to regular board changers that produce rainbow elements, because you're guaranteeing yourself 5 heart orbs, which means you're guaranteeing a follow-up attack. There are so many times when you say popped your Dark Cali and you don't have 5 heart orbs, and then you're like, well, what do? I guess I'll just die. Or pop another active skill. It's just a terrible thing when you use an active and it just goes completely to waste. So Eva solves that consistency issue. You will always have 5 heart orbs. And it's also prearranged for you. So all you have to do is now solve the remaining 5x5 board that's left over, which should definitely be doable. So interesting utility she brings overall, but not the most exciting card in this event because we're coming to Mariel and next Phenom. So base Mariel is best thought of as a training wheels leader. Her multipliers are reasonable, except for her attack being on the lower end. And in all honesty, if you're a new player just starting out, you have nothing really whatsoever, base Mariel is going to be an incredibly strong leader because she has 2.25 times health recovery and 43.65% damage reduction. So durable, reasonable damage output, easy to play around with because you get bonus or movement time, is a training wheels leader. But once you start getting more confident in your capabilities, you get a better box overall, deeper sub options, or better puzzling skills, you should pursue the evolve form because that's basically what you should be looking at. So both Mariels share the same active skill of 4 turns, recover 30% of your maximum health. Unfortunately, this will not loop with itself, so dual Mariels does not provide a Kuro Yuri loop alternative. You are forced to find some other way to heal up in between, and the extra benefit is a board changer of fire, water, wood, and light. So no hard orbs, so no chance to follow up attack. You may not have enough light orbs to even VDP. It's a bit of a mixed bag. In my opinion, 4 elemental board changers with no hearts are quite lackluster because you oftentimes don't have enough of the primary color you're actually hunting for. In terms of her awakening, she has double VDP with the chance for a third with super awakenings, as well as a single 7 combo. So she has incredibly high VDP potential, which is obviously nice if you are missing a good counter to those void spawns. And her leader skill is also quite powerful. She provides 2 times health for water or light attribute cards, so they could be water or they could be light, either or. It does not have to be both. This is not like Shiro. And then you also have 4 times attack when 6 or more combos, and then 5 times additional attack when matching 5 or more connected non-light or non-water orbs. So that's an unusual clause, which means you cannot use board changers that are just bicolor board changers of just light and water. So that can be a little problematic. Furthermore, because you have to connect 5 and it can't be your VDP, you have to find a connect 5 elsewhere. So when you use board changers, don't make them just light and water. You want to make sure it's light plus something else. You should really be building her primarily light based because she is a great source of damage. So why not just stick to that trend? So if you do make a column of hearts that does fulfill that requirement, you make a 3x3 box of hearts, of course, that again fulfills the requirements. So you just need to find a way to actually connect 5 or more orbs that are not water light. So for the most part, you should have relatively easy activation. It's quite open-ended, and it is also 400 times damage. It's quite high. There's also no real hard combo count associated. 6 or more combos should definitely be doable. It's not something that's crazy high, so you're going to be pumping up massive amounts of damage on a regular basis, which definitely has great benefits when you're trying to play through harder content and you're making, say, a follow-up attack plus a VDP. You are able to hit possibly 6 combos and don't have to worry about hitting that 7th one because sometimes a board would just not have the required orbs available. So does give you some benefits there. She does play very nicely with Bridezilla as a sub because Bridezilla will solve all of your problems because she can make she can benefit from super follow-up attack with her active skill, make double boxes, get extra combo count. It's going to be a good day. You can even use Mel for RCV because Mel is still water, so you still get the health chunk, but you have the ability to heal up very easily. And even though you have Mel, who has really no damage output, you have so much damage from 400 times that it should not really be missing. But the thing is, she is not without faults. Matching 5s always have lower combo counts naturally, so if you're facing things with higher combo count shields, it can be problematic, especially when you cannot match 5 connected light or water to trigger your activation clause. And her base active is, in my opinion, quite weak. It's not enough healing to loop, or it doesn't last for a long enough period of time to loop around like a Kuroyuri system, so you're either forced to bring a new healing solution or just suffer for several turns. And the board changer itself is not that amazing. Like if it was a tri-elemental with hearts, like water light hearts, that would be amazing. This is unfortunately not where we really want it to be. But again, she is a very powerful leader, and she is one of the better, she's able to use Bridezilla very efficiently. Next is Phenom, and you could say they are a phenomenal card. I don't know why I did that. I can't see now. But the point of the matter is she does something quite interesting in her evolved form. So her base form is basically a very stereotypical blob, well, dark blob style leader, so Dark Rose are definitely your friend. Her multipliers are not that incredible. Like, they do exist, like it's reasonable, but the thing is you may have other options available. Do you like blob leaders? Maybe, may not, but I'm a little bit more excited about how her evolve form works. So both forms share the exact same active skill, which is quite unique. Her active skill cancels out the inability to match certain colors. So for X number of turns. So for example, Evolved Gaia in 3-player arena prevents you from matching water, wood, or fire orbs at random for 3 turns, and then she hits you for a stupendously high amount of damage because it's a 300% gravity. With Phenom, you're able to cancel out that color canceling mechanic. So then if you are a team that wants to match those colors, you definitely can do so now, which can make a big difference. It is still quite niche and situational, but the actual cooldown itself has not been dramatically altered. It's a 6-turn cooldown for a row of dark orbs. Yes, the row is at the bottom, which is the less ideal place to be, but hey, it's a 6-turn orb changer for a guaranteed 6 dark orbs. Pretty nice still, and if you are able to take advantage of the color canceling effect, more credit to her. In terms of her leader skill, she's actually a very durable leader, mostly because, well, she has 4 times health, which means she can tank any preemptive naturally in the game, but even though she comes with low personal damage output, she comes with Jammer, Poison, and Blind, in addition to Cloud and or Tape through Super Awakenings. So with dual leaders, you have 40% reduction, or sorry, 40% chance to resist Jammer, Blind, Poison. You have 100% Cloud and 100% Tape. it then becomes incredibly easy to hit 100% resistance against everything without heavily compromising your inheritance options. And because you're not compromising your inheritance options, you are able to have more flexibility. You're able to bring more types of active skills into the dungeon that you normally would not be able to do so. For example, for my Arena 5 Dark Karen team, almost all of my active skills are weapon assists for resisting those mechanics. And if I were able to gain extra active skill slots, things might become a bit more consistent. I don't have to worry about active skills charging up into something less ideal. So Phenom does give you that potential to overcome that hurdle. Of course, by placing resist on the card itself, they have less personal damage, and she herself does not hit that hard. I guess generally speaking, I'm not a huge fan of that personally, but because we have so many 777 combo cards available nowadays, things like Akuma as a sub are going to be hitting for stupendously high amounts of damage. You could throw something like Eshimali for a gazillion Dark Orb enhances, and between those and other high 7 combo cards, you are going to be dealing spectacular amounts of damage even without your leaders pulling their full weight, so to speak. So in addition to 4 times health, they increase combo count by 1 when matching 3 or more colors. This is important because this bonus combo count has no impact on your actual attack multiplier. So if you are still able to use a bicolored board changer of dark plus something, make your VDP, and still gain the full attack multiplier. You just don't get the bonus combo count, but you still hit for your full damage, and that is important. So having this extra combo count built in this manner is probably the most pleasant way to do so. So that means when you're playing through a dungeon, you just need to match several colors, and then you're able to get 2 bonus combos because it's dual leaders, and you'll be able to tap into those 7 combos much more easily because she is still a dark blob style leader. So this sounds all great and all, but the thing is, dark blobbing or any blobbing for that matter, is a less ideal scenario. So with only 4 Dark Orbs, you only hit for 64 times, which is definitely not where we want to be. She also has low or no personal damage output. And she does, to a certain extent, want to have rainbow coverage, but ideally it's a dark card with a different color attribute. So that means you have to try and find a wood, a fire, and a water card as their sub-attribute in order to really tap into that bonus combo count on a much more regular and reliable basis. But this shouldn't deter you from the fact that she still can make a very durable team. If you throw air on the team, you cover your wood and you solve the healing issues because she's a huge RCV healing solution. That 4 times health is much more easy to heal up. You could technically abuse a Kuroyuri loop. You'll just never die. You have so much resistance anyways. It just makes your life that much easier. So I don't have her, and I have friends who do own this card on JP, and they found her quite exciting to play through, and they probably will enjoy playing it on their North American account. Now we come to the 6-star base cards, and unfortunately things really start to take a steep dive downhill because this is a 10-stone event. We're kind of still expecting at least the 6-star rarity cards to have a bit more value. So Erend is a pretty fast-charging fire burst active skill because it's a 6-turn cooldown for 2 times attack. Not terrible, not amazing, but it's still an option, and changes heal to fire, so not bad. But the problem is their awakenings are just not that exciting. You get team health, but that's all you're really doing. How important is team health to you? It really depends. Their leader skill just cares about dragon types, so it's restrictive. There's no effective health. It's just not quite where you want to be. You also need to have 8 or more combos. Again, a 6x5 board doesn't always have that number of combos available. In their evolve form, again, they could technically have high damage, and their leader skill, unfortunately, does not have that much synergy with how their awakenings work. They still have they actually share the same leader skill, but you have 9 times RCV, so you won't be low health for very long. So your attack while below 50% has anti-synergy with their leader skill. And if you want to have the 10 combo awakening really take effect, you need to have a bigger board. So there's so many things you have to do to make Erend actually work. And in my opinion, it's just not really worth the hassle. You can definitely find cards that provide lots more damage without all these hoops to jump through. Next is Tilly, and Tilly gives you a 99 turn heal orb Skyfall for 7%, so kind of like how Hiei works, similar idea except for hard orbs. So how valuable is hard orbs to you will depend, but it might give you a chance to have a nice steady flow of heal orbs present, can keep you alive longer. It's just a nice new thing to have. In terms of their leader skill, they reduce damage when you're above 50% health, and then you have to match multiple heal combos. So stalling may be a little difficult to do because in theory, in order to heal, you're eating away at the chance of you dealing damage. You match too many heal orbs, suddenly you deal damage and advance through the floor. And her active skill does not actually provide healing built into it. So you are not going to be able to actually heal yourself with their active skill. Like Edward can at least heal himself with his active skill, so that solves a bit of his problem of staying above 50%, but Tilly is unable to. So as a leader in this form, not quite that good, and again, leader in the other form, not so great either. Their awakenings in base form is 5 of these attack while above 80%. So that is 7.6 times personal damage, which is not bad, and there's no combo count associated with it. But the problem is this is, in my opinion, the weakest offensive awakening because the window for success is the narrowest you can have. It's quite hard to stay above 80% because most things will just hit you and then you lose your damage, which is definitely unfortunate. Your super awakenings give you healer, physical, and balance, but the thing is, her evolved form naturally comes with healer, physical, and balance killers as the regular awakenings. So with the super awakenings, she can have high effective damage against those spawns, especially if those things line up. So this definitely could be an alternative to Beach Barber and Julie, but it's not that amazing. Beach Barber and Julie provides much more awakening killer coverage by comparison. I just feel like this card is just not as wonderful as we want to be, but hey, if you are lacking a good killer stick, this definitely can be an option because it has the potential to deal reasonably high amounts of damage against those types of spawns. Next is Enola, I hope I'm saying that right, and their active skill creates an instant board of 3x3 wood, so it's an instant VDP board, kind of like the newest evolution of Yusuke. With the push of a button, you have a 3x3 box already made. Makes your life much easier, especially if you're going through content as quick as possible. You don't have to think. You just have to make sure no wood orbs are connected, just move them away, and bam, VDP. It can also be used to correct bad board changes because it's going to guarantee you making a certain number of wood orbs, which may give you enough to give you a better distribution. As a leader, they want you to connect 5 or more wood orbs, but they really want to hit 9 for their maximum damage. So that's very orb hungry. And your damage reduction, you need to hit 4 or more colors. That's quite a bit of effort. You have to be rainbow based, but at the same time, you also have to have a ton of wood orbs present. It's not that practical. But as a sub, they do have some interesting options. They naturally come with VDP and super follow-up attack awakening, which can be important if you're playing mono wood teams, such as Zila Kitty or Razor, who don't naturally come with super follow-up attack. In previous articles and videos, I've stressed how powerful super follow-up attack plus VDP is, especially when in use conjunction with Zila, basically the board changers of wood plus hearts. So Yo's Weapon Assist is definitely the best super follow-up attack option possible as a way to gain it onto a team that does not naturally have it, but it's a rare thing to have. Not many players have it. So having access to a sub with these awakenings can be helpful because it may open up team building compositions. Of course, if you already have Yo's Weapon Assist or you're comfortable using like the Gung-Ho Pallet Machine Typhon as a weapon assist, it may have a little less value, but at least it gives you options. And because of the double super follow-up attack and VDP, she actually has quite high personal damage when you form the 2 different boxes. So it can be something to keep in the back of your mind. Her evolved form comes with double VDP and attack while above 50%. So she does have high personal damage when above 80% health. She also comes with 3 skill boosts. And this is definitely important because if you're doing like any farming content or shorter content where things may not come up quick enough, this can definitely be a solution, especially if you can keep your health up high enough, you have quite high personal damage. But again, the leader skill is still the same. Lots of wood orbs with rainbow, not quite the best combination. And finally, for 6-star cards, we come to Rudy. So Rudy, in their base form, can definitely be a strong sub for Fatalis teams because they actually come with the L's, so they are pumping out high damage because you have to match an L anyways. They come with VDP as well, so again, even more spicy damage for that big dark dragon. Their active skill changes heal to dark, which gives you more dark orbs, which can definitely help activate. But for 3 turns, you recover 30% health on a 7-turn cooldown. So double Rudys can create their own system, and it definitely can be an alternative to Kuroyuri. You have to use 2 Rudys. You can't use Kuroyuri plus Rudy because that won't line up their cooldowns properly. So it does give you an option to loop as a different style instead. Whether or not this is important to you varies, but again, if you have 2 Rudys, it definitely can be a healing solution on Fatalis teams especially. In terms of their leader skill, they only boost dragon types. You have to be below 80% health and match 4 or more colors. It's just so much effort you have to do. It's quite restrictive. It just does not feel where I want it to be for a leader. In terms of his evolved form, same active, same leader skill, but they come with double 7 combo and L. So it does give you the potential to have damage output on your healing sticks for more generic teams that don't care about Ls. And even just having 1 L on a team is quite useful because you can then unlock Locked Orbs, cancel out Locked Orb Skyfalls. But the main idea is it's basically a Kuroyuri with more offensive-oriented awakenings that have synergy with quite a wide variety of teams. You can have double 7 combo with the VDP Super Awakening. You just made yourself a pretty nice damaging card that can also heal you at the same time. It's kind of interesting overall. But again, how important is the Kuroyuri loop for yourself? It all depends. And finally, we come to the 5-star cards. And for the most part, these are going to be the cards you will roll almost every single time. It's a 62% chance for these 5 cards, which is kind of silly. Why would they make so few of them and give them such a high rolling rate? It just kind of baffles my mind because players can just be getting dupe after dupe of the exact same card, and that's really no fun. I did 2 rolls on each of my accounts, and I got the same card twice on each account, which is technically not that surprising because it's a 15.5% chance to get any one 5-star. But regardless of all that, Base Cruise is not related to Tom Cruise, but they are able to unlock all orbs and then change all hazards to fire, and then enhance fire. So maybe you can use that as a way to get rid of hazards, but the thing is, we tend to have 100% hazard resist anyways. If you need an orb enhancer, there's probably better all secondary benefits attached to it. So it's just not fulfilling that many roles. You have a single dragon, a single attacker killer. It's not enough to really do that much. And amusingly enough, in the base form for all the 5-star cards, they actually have stronger weighted stats. They have quite high weighted stats, but they're more offensive awakening oriented, but they have very low base attack. For their evolve form, they have 3 enhanced Heal Orb Awakenings with the chance at gaining Cloud Resist as a Super Awakening. So basically an alternative to Hestia. You are a very defensive oriented card, but the thing is, their active skill, like I mentioned before, is a bit redundant. Like, we have orb unlocking abilities already built into our strong board changers. We tend to have 100% hazard resist, so the need for this active skill is much lower. Hestia's board changer at least can be helpful, whereas Cruise's, I feel, is not going to really make that much of a difference. So I don't feel like this card brings much to a more developed monster box, but it does give options for those who are looking for cloud resist and a healing option when playing through solo mode. Dolk is an interesting card in the sense that they only come with 4 awakenings in their base form, 3 skill boosts though, and a single VDP. The VDP will probably not be enough to do meaningful damage, but it's the 3 skill boosts and their high base attack. Because with that, if you are playing solo mode and you need a button, this could be one of your best button options because their attack stat is so incredibly high, along with 3 skill boosts. They won't outpace co-op boosted cards when you're playing in multiplayer, but in solo mode, there's a strong possibility that they will be your hardest hitting card to act as a button base with sizable skill boosts and kind of awkward, but not too terrible 10-turn base cooldown. Other than that, base Dolk does not have much value overall. For their evolve form, it's even worse. I would stick with the base form, unless you're very interested in a budget Dark Zeta pairing, because the leader skill in both forms is 4 times health for water attribute cards, and then 6 times attack when below 50% health, and then 4 times attack when below 80. So a very budget Dark Zeta pairing, but if you don't have Dark Zeta and all your friends have Dark Zeta and you want to kind of join that cool kids club, you at least can kind of slide in, but you're still a little awkward because their awakenings are much less amazing. Yes, you do have the resist, but they don't really have much else to back it up. They are also vulnerable to binds, so that is definitely a drawback overall. Next is Loud, and I'm not sure how loud him and his instrument are going to be, but their active skill will increase your combo count by 2 for 2 turns. So this is quite nice if you're interested in these types of active skills because it comes on a 5-star card, which should be much easier to acquire compared to the more luxurious alternatives out there. So like the other +2 combo count cards come from higher rarity seasonal cards like Yo, which is not exactly the easiest thing to roll, and you're probably going to, you're just not the easiest thing to roll. So it does give you at least some options there. But they also come with an assortment of 4 different killers. So with 4 killers, you are able to hopefully have some of them line up for reasonable amounts of damage. But the thing is, if you are going to have killers, it's best to have your killers of the exact same type, because that means you are going to be able to have a much higher chance of dealing large and meaningful amounts of damage. But if you're missing a killer stick, this could be an option. Conversely, in their evolved form, they come with 3 skill boosts and +2 combo count through their active. So again, if you are short on skill boosts and you really need to have a plus combo count up very quickly for 2 turns, this can definitely be your saving grace. But if that has no interest for you, the killer form will probably be more meaningful. And lastly, we come to Lotta. And Lotta is actually the best 5-star in this event, and some players would argue this is the true star of the show. But the thing is, it all depends on what type of player you are and how much you really can capitalize on what she brings to the table. So her active skill changes all orbs to water, wood, light, and dark. So again, a 4 elemental board changer with no hearts, I said it before, is nothing special. But her active skill is a 100 times light counterattack. That's a whole lot of damage. Like, compared to the current counterattacks we have available, it blows them all out of the water by a mile. Yes, Final Fantasy will get a 70 times, but 100 times bigger. Bigger is better. And this can open up a lot of unique and interesting doors, most notably for either farming build teams or even ranking dungeon teams, because it allows players to have the highest theoretical button damage in the game possible. Now, let's give an example. Let's say your health is 100,000 to make life just very easy to deal with in terms of numbers. So if you get hit by a 99% gravity, you're going to be left at 1% health. So math can be hard, but let's just say you get hit by that. Then you survive, of course, and then you counterattack, and then you will counterattack for just under 10 million. No button can deal 10 million damage, so you may have just solved yourself a great deal of problems because you just executed a multi-million health spawn without having to rely on massive, like finding the correct button, using the right base for the attack, having enough skill boost, because again, this is only 12. Furthermore, Lotta also comes with 10k health in her base form. Her evolved form gives more effective health with the team HPs, but the point of the matter is, you can easily bolster your health up to very large amounts and tank these large preemptives and counterattack for a sizable amount of damage. Of course, this is not going to be practical for the average or everyday player, but for those who are interested in these types of scenarios, it can definitely make your life easier because it's one of a kind. We have no other way to replicate this in whatsoever. So if you are interested in acquiring something with lots of value, Lotta is going to be quite an interesting card to try and pursue. And again, if you are interested in acquiring her, now is the best time, because right now, because there's only 4 or 5 stars, each of them have a 15.5% chance. This is going to be the highest you're ever going to have to actually roll them. In terms of figuring out which form you want to have, her base form offers you double machine, double healer, which can be a nice nice killer stick against those respective spawns. But her evolved form provides you with 3 skill boosts, which is great. Get actives up faster, but with team health. And with team health, you will have more effective health compared to her base form, even though there is a disparity of approx just a bit under 4,000 health between the two. The team health will bring you up to a higher level overall. So a niche active that can have amazing applications because we can't replicate this elsewhere. Pretty nice stats overall, and can be killer oriented or even just boosting your health and skill boost depending on the evolution you choose. So, in conclusion, the Draconic Orchestra event is a bit disappointing in my opinion. Like, yes, there are some nice cards in this event, but the thing is, the 5-star cards outside of Lotta are not that great, and you're going to be rolling a lot of those cards. Like, it's just unfortunate that each of them has a 15.5% chance of being rolled. And they are, like I said, niche overall, so you may not necessarily have the right uses for them. Like Dragonbound, Dragon Collar cards, they have a bit more widespread applications by comparison at the bottom rarity. So I would, if I was a brand new player and had stones and I could only roll in one event, I would pick Dragonbound, Dragon Collar over Orchestra. The same should apply to most other players. If your box is not that developed, I wouldn't roll in this event because generally speaking, the cards here are a bit more niche. Some of them have nice applications, but it's not going to help you for the vast majority of content. It's for players who have deep monster boxes that need to add an extra level of utility or zest into their pool. So let me know what you think about this event in the comments below. Do you think it is actually worth rolling, or are you going to just hard pass? Hopefully all the Mantastic day. I wish you all the best luck in your own pad adventures, and happy puzzling.